waving at them, but hi.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ferndale City Council meeting for Monday, February the 11th, 2013. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please? And welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. Council members Galloway.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Piana. Here. Lennon.
Here.
Mayor Coulter.
Here, yes, thank you. We have a quorum. In fact, we're all here this evening. Next item of business would be the approval of the agenda. I'd ask for changes to the agenda, and if you don't mind, I'll start. I'd like to add 2 presentations this evening. I see our county commissioner, and so I always like to give her an opportunity to speak as presentation C. We'll do a presentation D, which is just an update on the installation of our multi-space meters installations. And 2 items on the regular agenda that I would also like to add. Agenda item D, which is the State Fairground property sale, and regular agenda item E, Council's SEMCOG alternate. Anything else folks would like to change or add to the agenda?
If I could I add, please, an alternate to the SEMCOG General Assembly, please? You did. You already did? Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
That's right. You were going to do that. I did it. I
My
did that.
bad.
As regular agenda item.
I tell you. I consider it.
All right. Seeing no other changes, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
We'll need a motion first, Your Honor.
I move to accept the agenda with the stated changes.
Support.
Moved by Martin, supported by Piana. Now call the roll, please.
Council members Galloway.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Piana. Yes. Lennon.
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you very much. That item is adopted. Presentations. The first one is from the Ferndale Public Schools. And I'm not sure if someone is here from the public schools to give that presentation. I know we have a school board member here, but I'm not trying to put her on the spot. I don't see Stephanie here, who usually does that report. You're welcome to just come up and say hi if you like, but you don't. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I know you don't usually do that. Wonderful.
Good afternoon, Mayor Coulter, council members. My name is Raylon Leaks, and I'm a newly elected member of the Ferndale School Board. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Mayor Coulter for swearing us in, and council members Piana and Martin for being present at the swearing in. So thank you very much. I didn't get my chance to thank you, so I'm thanking you now.
My pleasure.
I wanted to talk to you all tonight about what's going on the school board right now. We have what's called a strategic planning committee. We have a strategic plan underway right now, and what it is that it's comprised of 3 phases. Phase 1 is when board members, current, past, and present board members have been interviewed, administrators have been interviewed, and any other people affiliated with the school board. Phase 2 is currently going on right now, and what that is focus groups. And what that consists of, say, like for instance tonight, CBE, if you all know of the CBE, and CLEAR, the political action groups, they are being interviewed tonight to give their input about the district. And also leaders such as yourself, if you haven't been contacted already, you probably will be, because it's a long process, and this plan is going to be with us for the next 5 years or so we want everyone's input. We want everyone to be involved. Just to put a shout out, on February 15th, this Friday, at the Harding Administration Building from 6 to 8, the Strategic Planning Committee is now looking to meet with parents who have children in the district but are no longer attending Ferndale schools, so we want their input as well. Other than that, I have no other information as of yet, but and I thank you all for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it, and thanks for the update. We look forward to the plan.
Any questions?
Yeah. Thanks, Raylon. Our next presentation is a presentation to Credit Union One on their 75th anniversary. Is there anyone? Oh, yeah, there you are, yeah. Come on up to the microphone, and we're going to brag on you for a minute. You know what this is about, but we'd like to brag on you anyway. I'd like to read this resolution to really one of our longstanding both longstanding and outstanding businesses in town. And so let me go ahead and read this. City of Ferndale proclamation honoring Credit Union One's 75th anniversary. I, Mayor Dave Coulter, on behalf of the Ferndale City Council, extends the city's congratulations to Credit Union One as they celebrate 75 years of service to their members, partners, and communities. Credit Union One began in 1938 with 15 neighbors who organized the Ferndale Co-op Credit Union in a local church basement, and by the early 1960s was one of Michigan's 10 largest credit unions. Their service areas now include 18 branch offices in Metro Detroit, Grand Rapids, and Traverse City, offering their members a variety of banking services. Credit Union One is also involved in numerous community programs, sponsorships, and charitable gifting programs. Credit Union One is a credit to this community, and it is with heartfelt congratulations that we celebrate their 75th anniversary on February 25th, 2013, adopted unanimously on this date. And I want to present this to you, and congratulations to
Thank you, Mayor.
Credit Union One.
No, just don't know how to work this. No, I got it.
Thank you.
Mayor and Council, just want to say thanks for the recognition. The credit union is very proud of its tenure here in the community, proud to be a corporate citizen. This day and age when financial institutions kind of come and go, it's kind of nice to say we've been here 75 years, and we plan on being here another many, many, many more years. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Our next presentation is our County Commissioner, Helene Zach. Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening, everybody. Congratulations to the Credit Union, and thank you for being here. Couple of things that I want to remind people about. Once again, we approved a resolution to waive interest fees for low-income taxpayers. There are some people that wait for homestead credit taxes or things like that to be able to pay their taxes. And so we can waive the interest to April 30th. And there were letters of eligibility that went out to people to remind them that they could do that. I also want to remind people about the Step Forward tax foreclosure money that's available. Again, if you are in arrears of your county taxes and you have received a letter from our Treasurer Meisner, then you could be eligible to get free tax money through the Step Forward program. And what we recommend that people do is that you talk to either the treasurer and that you visit a housing counselor, because it takes about 45 minutes to fill out the application. There's some nuances. It's not as easy as you would like it to be. I know that Treasurer Meisner has created a cheat sheet and provided that to housing counselors throughout the county, so you can apply for this money and get it successfully. Residents are eligible for up to $30,000 to help them in their taxes that are in arrears. So it's a wonderful program and opportunity.
Can they do that at the Accounting Aid Society?
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, they can.
Great.
Another thing I want to tell you about, and we approved this last year, is that there's been a book that was published on different apprenticeships, and you'll remember, former Commissioner Coulter, Mayor Coulter, how it's been published, but for years. But now it's online, and if people want to look for these different apprenticeship programs, you can go to a website, mytradeschool.org, and it's up to date. and access different applications that way. And there really are a lot of different training and apprenticeship programs throughout the community. People just don't know how to access them. Finally, it is summer intern application time. And I want to remind people that there are many jobs that are open for summer interns. And the applications start today and they close out on February 25th. And the best way to find out more about these jobs is to visit the OakGov website, Oakland County, www.oakgov.com/jobs. And they're posted what you can apply for, and they do try and spread out the applicants throughout the county. And I'd love to have some people from Ferndale apply and work for the county. Any questions for me?
Any questions of the commissioner? Nope.
Thank you.
Thanks for the great information. Great to see you. Our last presentation is just an update on the multi-space meter installation program, which is currently in the early phases of happening, and there's a lot going on with that, and I thought it might be appropriate just to hear what's going on with the multi-space meter update. So, City Manager, you want to just start that?
Yes, I would. About 2 weeks ago, we started the implementation of the multi-space meters. It was a rolling kickoff, if you will, starting with a few parking lots each day, and we completed that this last Thursday. So throughout that process, we have arrived at quite a few concerns that residents have been having, some significant frustrations at the multi-space meter locations, just in general, a lot of dissatisfaction. And as we've been going through this process, we've been collecting all that data, trying to deal with things as they come up, but also have some broader scope areas that we're hoping to improve on. Actually, Christina is going to talk a little bit about some of the 3 issues that have really come to be more of a consistent message that we've been getting through users, council members, residents, business owners, things of that nature. And Christina's going to talk a little bit about those 3 major issues and what we're doing to address those, and just in general that, we're trying to work through a lot of these kinks and trying to move the system forward. So with that, I'm going to bring Christina up, and we'll have a conversation on where we're at and some things we found and all that good stuff.
Yeah, just as a recap, over that 2-week process, there are over 900 meters that were transferred into the system, scaling that down to 20 pay stations. And with that, we had Department of Public Works working in tandem with the sign company as well as the installation crew for the pay stations. So there was a number of crews working together and making sure that the timing was working along with weather too. So it's always fun with that. But they did an awesome job in rolling out, getting the signs on, and we just did a short recap today with the sign fabricator to pinpoint some of either signs that may have been in wrong locations or potentially a missing pole sign that may have not been prevalent when we first developed the maps. So we're cleaning some of those issues up as we speak, as well as when residents or visitors of the community, if they are having an issue with a specific pay station, it is important for us to know exactly what parking lot you're in and approximate location of that pay station. It will help us to identify whether the issue is directly with that individual pay station or with an overall back-end system function. So it really helps us to troubleshoot. And we are doing this daily, hourly, and really working hand in hand with Traffic and Safety, which is the company that has been doing the installation.
How should they let you know that?
They can can contact our office or City Hall, as well as online at FerndaleParkPlus.com. There's a portal there that they can register their comments there. And that's a great way of doing it because it's documenting it, and you can do it at any time, so it's convenient for you. You don't have to wait for offices to be open to do that.
And what's nice, the QR code, if you have a smartphone, you can click right on there, and it will take you right to the comment section. And Joe has been monitoring those emails on a hourly basis to see what we can do to immediately fix something.
Yep. So the three major points that we have found through most of the comments and conversations out there, one is regarding Park Mobile. And first off, we want to make sure that everybody knows that Park Mobile is coming back. And Park Mobile still actually is in place right now. However, it is not in the parking lots themselves until the signs are attached to the poles themselves. Park Mobile is available for those meters that are still on the street that are the traditional meter heads. So you'll see that there are the stickers on those, and you can use them. And then starting tomorrow, DPW will be installing the new signs for the Park Mobile signage for the parking lots. So it's basically on that sign, you'll be looking for your zone number. So there will be a sticker that says Park Mobile and your zone number, and your zone number will either be 411 through 416, depending on where you're at. And we broke it up into a quadrant based on, or pretty much a T for the downtown. So we have one parking lot that required additional numbering because of the different rates that we charge in that lot as well.
And we do want to, before you move on, with the intent for Park Mobile was to stay live during the whole process. And what happened is when DPW went to go put the stickers on, they weren't sticking due to the cold weather. So fortunately, DPW quickly came up with an alternative plan, which was to get, I guess you call them placards, if you will.
Sign blanks.
Sign blanks that they were able to put the stickers on and screw to the pole. So that was a glitch that we didn't quite expect on the Park Mobile.
Yeah, we really actually anticipated that they would adhere better. They were just not adhering nicely on, getting creases. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't going back again later down the road to do that.
And the stickers are made so that they'll be visible at night?
Yes, the reflective.
Okay.
Yes. And so with that, you'll start to see this where tomorrow you'll see Withington and all West Troy lots come online with Park Mobile. On Wednesday, you'll see the east side with lots 9 through 13, which would include behind Woodward Avenue Brewers, the library, and behind Como's and here at City Hall. And then on Thursday, we would complete that with lots 15 and lot 1 and 2. So that would be actually kind of circling back around where we'd go to East Breckenridge and West Breckenridge. And behind Boogie Fever with those lots. So by end of day on Thursday, so definitely by Friday morning, you will see all Park Mobile zones up and live. You can also look online. There will be a new map tomorrow morning with all the zones identified. Right now on Ferndale Park Plus, you will see a map on there that shows all the locations of the pay stations. So if you are planning to travel here, it's a great place to look and see where you're going and find out where you need to go in order to pay. Second issue was really with lighting, and what we're finding is that there are a couple stations that are just inadequate in terms of lighting. They don't have as much light as other stations, and many of the other stations have direct street light right next to it or across from it, which is providing the light needed for the keyboard area, which has been the general complaint where they cannot see the keyboard very well. So we're working, and DPW is looking at some alternatives right now. And so hopefully by the end of the week, we will actually have a solution that we have picked and begin installing that immediately with the locations that are needed. And last, is really in terms of the long lines that people are facing with the stations. We do know that as more people become familiar with using the pay stations, things will become quicker. Also, as Park Mobile comes online, there will be less people actually using the pay stations directly, because those who are Park Mobile users and love their Park Mobile will just use Park Mobile, and they won't need to go to a pay station. So that will automatically help to reduce some of the lines. But with that, and based on what we're seeing in terms of traffic, and I do have to say that we've, over Friday, Saturday night period, from late Friday night to Saturday, late at night, we had over 5,000 transactions through the system. That's a lot of people coming through in a day. And we're really seeing that there is a great pattern as to when they're coming in at certain times. So there is going to be a need to have more stations out there. And in the interim, what we're going to do is we have a couple stations that don't receive quite as much traffic. We're going to move those 2 stations into our bigger lots. So we're moving one on Vester Street over to the Big Troy lot, and then we will also then take the Perry lot, the old Perry lot station, because there's one right across the street from it, which everybody can see, and move that one deeper into the Withington parking lot itself. So that will help to relieve some of the lines that we are definitely seeing there. And we'll continue to address that. I think this is one thing that we have to continue to look at the counts that are coming through, and not just online in terms of the data, but on foot. And many of us have been out there hand in hand trying to work and help people through the system. And I think as more become familiar, it will become faster. Credit card transactions will take a little bit longer than a coin or a cash transaction because it has to validate. So you have to wait for it to tell you, yep, your credit card is accepted. So those were the 3 major items, but once again, I want to reiterate that we are receiving and hearing all the comments, and we want to hear more, because that really helps us to flush it out, narrow it down, and make it so that it becomes a seamless system for everybody. We knew that it would not be flawless going into this. We knew that those first few weeks were going to be rough weeks and bumpy along the way, and you know, we don't want to cause any more inconvenience than necessary, and we apologize for inconveniences people have had, but we are working hard. So feel free to call us or email us, and just be as specific as possible so we can really help out.
Are there questions?
I have one.
Yeah,
Well,
question.
prior to the meeting, I gave Christina a couple of issues I had. But one question I forgot to ask you. On the pay stations, are they all going to have covers so people aren't exposed to the elements?
At this point, no. That was an additional cost element that we removed when we first looked at that.
There are some that have them, correct?
There are 2 that have the shelter up above, and it's also to help identify it a little bit more in that parking lot as well. One in Withington, in the big Withington lot, and then the other one in the big Troy lot.
Wonderful. Okay.
Dan?
I have a couple. 5,000 transactions seems like a lot to me. Is it that the system is much more specific in the number in its tracking? So was that a number a surprise to us, or did we anticipate that?
You know, I anticipated to see high numbers, but as the system has now fully come online, you know, the first week we only had a certain number of lots up and running, and it seemed, you know, pretty comparable. And then by the second week, having all the lots online, we definitely saw what the traffic truly is. And this is great data, though. I mean, what we're able to do with this data as we move forward will be so helpful with knowing how to improve the system throughout the years to come. So, and really, it is also great data for our businesses to know how many people are coming through our town and actually visiting as well.
No, I agree. The data's good. Currently, part of the communication plan was to have the ambassadors out, and I've seen them out to help people use the
Yep.
transactions. Are they still out, and how long do we anticipate having them?
They are, and maybe April can address a little bit more of the schedule, but we also, our parking enforcement officers have been all trained on the system, as well as not just trained how to use it, but also to help clear any alerts or issues we might have, minor issues we might have with the station. And then the ambassadors have really been out there just helping people to go through a transaction, answer any questions that they may have. And knowing also is that you can pay at any station. So wherever your destination is, if you see a line at one, you can head to another one. And knowing that enforcement is out there to assist, and we are transitioning with this as well, and being very compassionate at this point in time to make sure people are getting to the places and, and coming back to downtown Ferndale.
The ambassadors our intention is to keep those, the ambassadors through February 23rd, so 2 more weeks. I believe it's 2 more weeks, correct? Yes. More heavy into the weekend, where the most usage is. Of course, as we go through this process over this next week and we start to see where we're at with, some of these issues and concerns that we have, we're looking at, with either feel that we're comfortable on the 23rd stop or keep it going for another week and potentially adding more. But right now, they're going through the weekend of the 23rd. But we'll keep reviewing that.
And I know you mentioned a more compassionate approach, and we haven't been writing parking tickets, correct? They're courtesy citations?
Correct, the courtesy ticket.
And how long do we intend to do that?
Well, our intent was to get through this week, and then we'll have to see where we're at this point, because I think we have to determine whether or not the system is clean all the way through. We're not having any issues with any of the stations, and I think after that we have to kind of see what the pace is for really our customers as well. Which I think going through this, the courtesy citation is really informative, to let people know how they can pay, where to pay, and where to go if they have any other questions, too.
Which leads me to the last question I have for now. You both mentioned, when we're comfortable, we'll know to turn these things off. What is the metric for that? How do we know when this implementation's been successful? What factors are we looking at that we feel like we can say, all right, this is finally right?
I think when we're seeing a greatly reduced amount of phone calls or emails about issues with either meters, whether they're bill jams, coin jams, credit card processing maybe taking longer or not reacting. And I think there are a couple of things that we still have to do. There are some stickers that we are planning to put on all the pay stations. Some of them have them, some of them don't have them at this point in time. That will help to better identify areas on the pay stations. We've had a few people that have unfortunately stuck their credit card in the bill acceptor, which the bill acceptor then takes it and eats it, and it jams. So not fun for the person who's there. So, but knowing that credit card is safe inside, but it's not coming back to you. But unfortunately, for the people behind them, then they are not able to use their credit card. So that is where people or use the bills, use their cash bills. So that's where people who have had a bill acceptor problem, that has typically been what the problem is. And that's why it would spit it back out. And we have had 2 coin dispensers have a couple little issues, so we swapped out one actually today, got that one fixed up, and then tomorrow morning we're tackling another one in the early morning, and as well as a bill acceptor as well. Like with most rollouts of machinery and so forth, you got to get the bugs worked out, and know also on the back end there's a massive system that is powering this and knowing how all this information is being translated back into the machines, but also back to us, so we know how it is working. The alerts are a great thing. We do get alerts immediately when something is happening.
I think after this weekend, we're going to have a better hand. This will be the first full week that we're actually able to focus on just the system rather than installation and implementation. So I think after this weekend, at this point, we'll have a better grasp on what's left over that isn't jiving and what's causing frustration.
But I think when we, to go back to answering your question is, when do we know that it's complete and that we feel that it has been successful, is that, you want to have a greatly reduced number of incidents and more people able to move through the lines in the systems quickly. And I already had a conversation with the owner at One-Eyed Betty's, who they were the first lot the first week, and they've already seen a great reduction in customers being frustrated. They said that they really aren't having many people coming in saying that they're aggravated with the system, but they've kind of learned it and know how to go with it. So, which is a good sign. It's showing that it does get there. It just takes a little bit of time to get there.
So on that point, though, I would like to just strongly encourage us to be as lenient for as long as we need to in terms of the complimentary citations, because it is, maybe it's a little bit of a little larger learning curve than we thought, and I just I would err on the side of taking that too long versus not long enough. Sure. The other thing I'd like to throw out there, and this is just a small aspect of it, but one of the things I noticed and I've heard about that I didn't realize was going to happen, and if it's too late, that's fine, but the two spots that were 15-minute complimentary parking for library book drop-off,
those are getting changed back over.
I am so happy.
Yeah.
Happy to hear that.
That's a catch. Those are some of the things when you're going through the installation, it's like, oh, yep, we're just going to keep on getting those meter heads off. You did a great job with that. So.
Good. Appreciate it. Does anyone else have any questions?
I do, and most of suggestions. I really appreciate the expectations the explanation and sort of setting of expectations, which I think that some of us were unclear about what to expect with the transition. So I appreciate you coming here and providing an update. And we all knew when we voted for the new system that the data was important, and that's what we're actually getting to now, so that we improve customer service and people feeling happy about using our parking system in the long run. I would like the city and the DDA somehow focus on improving or increasing communications about the extended courtesy tickets. You've mentioned that the Ferndale Park Plus is a website, and people who are going to use and go comment on that website are probably mobile phone users, but we haven't really promoted that well. If you go to the DDA website, it's buried on the second page, and it's the two smallest URLs buried in text, and you can't find it anywhere on the city's website. So if we're trying to elevate and make sure that we're capturing comments, I think we need to provide easier access to the comment section on our social media. So I think, and somehow work with businesses to help give them messaging about the changes and improvements so that they could feed it out to their customers.
So we have been doing that. And we're doing that more regularly too, as well as the fact that it's one thing that, yes, you can tell people how to more easily manage making a payment, going up and using the pay station, but it's another thing when you actually can go out there and show somebody. So we're very, very willing to go out with business owners and their staff and walk through it with them, because we're all on the front line in working with customers. So I think that the more that we're able to share that knowledge, share the information that we know at all levels, the better everybody will be in the end, and so much happier in the end. I can't tell you how many times that I helped people physically through it for the first time. They hadn't done it, and they're just, thank you, that wasn't bad, and just on their way. So it's taking that extra effort to really provide good customer service.
And then I just wanted to make sure you could answer that the systems take coins, because I've had a lot of people say that they don't, and so I don't know where that is coming from. What is it? How is that Why is it being interpreted that it
There's
doesn't take
there's
points?
two things that were happening there. We did have one that was only taking dimes. We were calling it the dime lover. It was you have to remember the technology that's in it. It's basically, it's like eyes. It's reading what's going through it. And for whatever reason, it was not reading it, and it was just a problem with that one specific one. Changed that out today. And so we had complaints on that specifically, and we knew it, and got it addressed. The other thing that is happening with coin drops, or even with a bill acceptor, if it's not a jam, is that you have to wait until it says insert cash or credit on the screen, and it will flash at you to say insert cash or credit. When you see that, you can then insert it. If you do it prior to that, it will just drop through, because it's basically, it's priming the system. It's registering your number, your parking space number, into the system as it's getting ready to accept your payment. So it's just, you have to slow it down a little bit. And I know that some people, if you're standing in line and you see people behind you, you want to rush because you want to get it done sooner so everybody else can get through the line. Actually, patience is probably more ideal as a virtue in this respect, where it just helps you to get through it that much faster.
And if your parking bill is $3.75 and you put in $4, is it going to kick you back a quarter?
There's no change given.
There's no change given. I think this has been an issue for some people, that you're not getting change back if you've put in $4 and it's not worth $4. Is that something that we can address?
You will not want to give change out with the machines.
Okay.
It is more a point of making sure people are aware that it does not give out change. So you're either paying for the time that you want, or pay up to. You can always add time afterwards, and that was one issue that I know Mr. Lennon had mentioned earlier, that it didn't seem like the add time was working, and we got that fixed today with the add time as well. So if you're uncertain or would like to add more time later, just make sure that you look at your receipt. Get a receipt for one, and it will have a code on the receipt so you can go back and you can add time.
Okay. And will the kiosks have phone numbers to call? I mean, that would be a great customer service aspect of putting a phone number to call if you have a parking problem, then rather than go to a website, look for the comments, upload your comments. For the people who have smartphones but have a phone, or just want to call later, how do they do that? I mean, are we going to make it easy for them?
We don't have a phone number on there right now. I think that's something that we'll have to discuss, and in terms of who will be receiving those phone calls to answer those directly.
All right. Any further comments or questions?
I have one more thing if no one does. We've all mentioned it here, but I think I'd like to be a little more prescriptive about the courtesy tickets. I mean, we've mentioned the need that we need to continue this. I'd like to ask we don't start issuing regular citations until we get a report back at the next council meeting. So, again, when we talk about...
Sounds great to us.
Not to give a free pass, but there's obviously more time we need in this implementation to get this right. And so I think that when we come back, we talk about what metrics of success are. We need to report out to the community, I think, because of the difficulties we've had, and if we can make that decision when there's support from this group to come back and just hold that off until we can report out that we think we've got this fixed.
What are people's thoughts about that?
Well, the only thought I have is, I'm willing to help out in that aspect, but now you're going to get people just absolutely just not going to put any money in. Hey, I tried to put it in meter numbers, such and such, didn't work. My bad.
Yeah.
It's only the people watching city council.
Right.
It's another benefit of watching.
We need people to use the system.
Yeah, we do. We definitely need. Yes.
People to watch.
Yeah.
But I would gotta believe that most of our customers are visitors, or at least a good portion of them. So I don't think you're suggesting putting signs up that says.
No, I'm just asking that we need a control to make sure that we're all comfortable that we're where we need to be, I think, before we start doing issuing tickets again, is where my thoughts at.
We can report back on the 25th.
So I don't think we even need a motion. I think if they understand that, and I see them nodding their heads, you'll come back with us with a report before we reinstitute the.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Can I take public comment? Sorry.
Yeah, because that's coming up next, so, yeah. All right, good.
Okay.
Thank you, Christina.
We do want to say, too,
Thank you.
again, that anytime we're managing, they want to post on Facebook, call our office, call the DDA's office, the website. We are taking every single person's comments, and we're going through them to make sure we haven't missed anything. And it was very quick to realize that those 3 were the biggest issues because of the feedback we received. And we really encourage all visitors and residents to ensure that if they have a frustration, that they let us know, and we'll try to address that.
I also wanted to say that I've had a lot of great compliments, too, of the new system. So I just wanted to say people really like it. I didn't realize how many people loved Park Mobile, because we didn't know how many people I didn't know how many people were using it. I mean, I love Park Mobile, too. So so I appreciate your hard work.
All right, and with that, we'll move on to the next item of business, which is called audience. This is the audience's opportunity, obviously. We'll do a 30 minutes now, more time if needed at the end of the meeting, to speak about any item that's not on the agenda or that has already been discussed. If it's on the rest of the agenda, you can come up at that time. But we'll give you 3 minutes to talk about anything that's on the agenda. That's not on the agenda. Give us your name, your address if you're comfortable doing that, or write it down in the back so our clerk has it. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Kat Bruner James. I'm here tonight in my capacity as chairperson of Citizens for a Fair Ferndale. I wanted to let Mayor Coulter and the City Council and anyone else who's in the room or watching at home know that Citizens for a Fair Ferndale is now seeking nominations for our annual Good Neighbor Awards. And I'll keep my presentation relatively brief, but I just want to read you a few highlights from our press release. First of all, I want to let you know that this award is eligible to anyone who lives, works, goes to school, or has any connection to the community of Ferndale. And the award is given to those who value fairness and equal treatment of others and are engaged in making this happen on a daily basis. The Good Neighbor Awards program identifies and honors individuals, organizations, and businesses in our community who are outstanding examples of good neighbors and who are committed to building, preserving, maintaining, and improving the quality of life in their neighborhoods and in our community. Examples of previous honorees include diverse individuals, organizations, and businesses which have coordinated and planned picnics, festivals, and events in the community, promoted volunteerism, created inclusive, welcoming environments in their businesses, collaborated on art projects to celebrate diversity, tutored foreign-born Americans, sheltered the homeless, and the list goes on and on. I'd encourage folks to visit our website to learn more about the awards. The website is www.fairferndale.org. You can also find us on Facebook. You can search for Fair Ferndale or for Citizens for a Fair Ferndale. You should be able to find us either way. Find out more information about the award. And I have just a couple of nomination forms here with me tonight. I'll stick around for a little bit in case anyone would like to pick one up from me. And you can also call at any time. The number you should call is 248-515-7803. You can also email us at cff48220@gmail.com. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys do a lot of work to put those together. Appreciate that. Good evening.
Good evening. Chris Johnston, 202 West Maplehurst. I'm here because I love Ferndale dearly, and I want to see it do as well as it can every day. And I feel like the parking situation has not really done that, and hopefully it'll get fixed so it represents the city. But these first couple of points I want to make, I don't know if there really are any answers to these questions, but I don't understand why all the lots were done at one time, why we just didn't try something, see if it worked, and then replicated that, should it be successful in other lots. I don't know why it was done in the middle of winter versus a time when it's more convenient for people to stand outside and to figure out how this new system works. I don't know why some of the parking meters weren't left in a parking lot while we were adjusting to this new pay system so people could use either one until they got better at it. I was happy to learn that the Park Mobile situation was really about the stickers not sticking that makes sense to me, but then again, if it was done in a different time of year, that wouldn't have been an issue. I think as a resident and a business person, I'm one of many people that really tries to make Ferndale a great place. And to me, it seems like this parking situation that we have doesn't really represent that right now. It doesn't seem fair and it doesn't seem honest. Before I go on, Christina, can those give change, or it doesn't give change at all? Okay. To me, there's two things. They don't give change back, which a lot of people complain about, and the time goes away when you leave the spot, so nobody else can use that. I think those two things are kind of anti-Ferndale, but it sounds like we're stuck with them. The one thing that we're not stuck with is the parking rates. I don't really understand why it's $1 an hour by bars and restaurants. It seems like if I was going to park somewhere and I was wanting to go to the brewery, I'd park and see that it was $1, and that's what I would assume all the lots are. I wouldn't know that some are 75 cents. I would just assume they're all $1. And that seems really high. I don't think that Ferndale should be on the high end of things. The stores that are here are, I think everything's fair and value priced. This isn't Birmingham. We talk about competing with cities like that. We talk about competing with malls where it's free to park. And to drive the price up by double is a lot. It doesn't seem fair that we're penalizing the customers that come in to go to the bars and restaurants, or anybody for that matter, but that's the ones that pay more. If somebody goes and shops for 45 minutes, if they're paying 75 cents an hour, they would pay 56 cents. If they're paying $1, they'd pay 75 cents, a 19-cent difference. But if they're eating for 3 hours, they pay a 75-cent difference, so they're paying more to be by a bar or restaurant. And that doesn't seem fair either. I'm kind of disappointed in how much this is costing taxpayers, especially business owners that pay the TIF to support the DDA, all the extra expenses that are coming in because, in my opinion, things weren't planned out as well as they could. I'm sure that it'll work out, but I would like to see the rates come down because I don't think it really represents Ferndale as well as it could. And I guess that's all I've got. So thank you.
Thank you. And I mean, this is just public comment, so it's not a debate, but he did ask some specific questions. If either of you wanted to address those, or we can.
I guess one more. Did you factor in the fact that you can't get change back and that you have to drive away and leave money on the meter that goes? Is that factored in when you figure out how much these things make?
To the cost of the system?
Yeah. No, not to the cost, but to the revenue.
Right.
So maybe you could reduce the rates if you're making money on those two things, all the way across the board.
I guess specifically about the timing, because we are late in launching for lots of various reasons, because these projects take longer than we thought. I think we originally thought we were going to launch in November, maybe, when it wouldn't have been as cold and snowy, and for various reasons, including the rates that had to get established and the parts that had to come, and for various reasons. It is definitely later in the season than we had anticipated. There's no question about that. But I appreciate you coming tonight, Chris. Good to see you. Thank you.
Probably just the one thing I want to address. I mean, I think there's a longer conversation to be had, but I think with the giving change, there are security issues with giving change. So there was a very explicit reason why we did not want that option with the system. However, what you can do is you can be very specific with how much time you want to put in, how much money you want to put into the system. So if you're paying by credit card, you just add in what you want specifically. If you're paying by quarters or dollars, it is based on what you're now able to give, which is now quarters, dimes, and nickels, and dollar bills, $5 bills, $10 bills, whereas before all you could do was quarters.
All right, anyone else who would like to address council this evening? Chris Hughes.
just take the opportunity from Chris Hughes, Communications and Marketing Manager for the Ferndale DDA. I'm not going to talk about parking. I just want to invite everybody. We're having a third Thursday celebration on February 21st from 6 to 9 p.m. It is a wine tasting in partnership with Winezilla, and they're serving Ferndale Fizz, I think, and their own special bottle brand, and we're partnering with them to have a fundraiser. Tickets are $15. Call the office, reserve your space. It's going to be a great evening. Come on out and enjoy downtown Ferndale, and I won't say anything more. Thank you.
Should be a fun event, thanks. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll close, call to audience, move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are items that council considers routine and we enact in one motion unless anything is pulled from the consent agenda. Let me read that agenda now. Item A is the approval of the minutes of the regular and special meetings held January 28, 2013, and the special meeting held February 4, 2013. B is approval to confirm the reappointments of Peggy Snow and Anna Garrett to the Ferndale Beautification Commission for terms ending December 31st, 2015. C, approval to confirm the reappointments of Phil Poole and Tom King to the Board of Review for terms ending December 31st, 2014. D, approval to authorize the city manager to reclassify the position of project coordinator to chief innovation officer with a salary range of $55,000 to $65,000, contingent upon approval from the Civil Service Board. E, approval to authorize the city manager to reclassify the position of human resource generalist to human resources director with a salary range of $65,000 to $75,000, contingent upon approval from the Civil Service Board. F, approval to adopt the interim changes to the FYE 2013 budget as submitted by our Assistant City Manager, Finance Director / Treasurer. G, approval to accept the proposal from Abraham and Gaffney to provide auditing services for fiscal year 2013 at a cost of $29,000. H, approval to accept a proposal from Garda CL to provide cash vault services to be charged to the Auto Parking Fund. Item I, approval to purchase 20 Stag Model 8 patrol rifles from Center Mass, Inc. in the amount of $20,900. J, approval of the BS&A software upgrade and associated inspection module and authorization for the mayor and city manager to execute the contract. K, approval to redirect a $500 grant received from the Ferndale Community Foundation to All About Animals Rescue for its trap, neuter, and release program. L, approval to adopt ordinance number 1137, amending Chapter 6, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 10, registration of one- and two-family dwellings for rent or lease. And finally, M, approval of the bills and payrolls as submitted by the city manager's office, subject to the review of the Council Finance Committee. What is the pleasure of the council?
I'd like to move that we remove item K to regular agenda.
We will move item K to the regular agenda. Other items for council consideration?
Your Honor,
Yeah.
item H,
H.
I'd like to have that pulled to the regular agenda as well.
Yes, sir. Item H. If that's all, a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda would be in order.
I move to present or accept the consent agenda with the proposed changes.
Second.
Moved by Piana, seconded by Martin. Any comments from the members of the public on the consent agenda? Any comments, questions on the part of council? If not, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on the consent agenda, please?
Councilmembers Martin?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. The consent agenda is adopted. Moving on to the regular agenda, agenda item A, consideration to appoint Ian Williamson as an alternate member of the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term ending December 31st, 2015. This is actually an appointment that is a recommendation of the mayor with the concurrence of council. You have Mr. Williamson's resume in your packet. I think you'll find him to be a very qualified person for this position. He's also recommended by our Community Development Director, Derek Delacourt. But any questions before there's a motion? Is he here? Oh, I should ask that. Is Mr. Williamson here? That's you, isn't it? Come on up and say hello to us. Appreciate
Good
it.
evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Ms. Talman, Ms. Lynch. I'm Ian Williamson. I've been a Ferndale resident for about 7 years now. I live literally right around the block over here on Saratoga, so I thought since I'm on the agenda, I might as well stop by and introduce myself to you all and say hello.
So happy you did it. Why don't you just tell us, we have your resume, but just
Sure.
for all those folks listening at home, a little bit about your background and your interest in serving.
Okay. I studied architecture and urban planning and art history at University of Michigan. I then became an attorney. I went to law school at Wayne State. So I've got a longstanding interest in planning issues, and then I studied zoning while I was an undergraduate, and I studied it also in law school. I interpret statutes all the time, and I thought that the Board of Zoning Appeals, I saw there was an alternate position open. I've lived here for, like I said, 7 years. During that time, I've seen the city do a lot and provide a very high quality of living at a time when, to put it mildly, there have been some real challenges in revenue. It's kind of humbling to see that type of performance and to see things like new libraries come up when I know tax revenue is plummeting. A couple years ago, I thought at the very least I could do was put myself out, and if there's anything I could do to help, I'd volunteer to do it. So here I am.
Well, I really appreciate that. No studies at Michigan State on there.
No studies at Michigan State, sorry to say.
Try not to hold that against you. All right. Any questions of anyone on council?
I move to appoint Ian Williamson as an alternate member of the Voting Authority of Appeals for a term ending December 3/1/2015.
Support. Moved by Lennon, supported by Galloway. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you.
Exactly, thank you. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Piana?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That appointment is adopted. Thank you. Item B is the consideration to appoint Joe Spain to the Beautification Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2014. You must be Joe.
I'm Joe.
How are you, sir?
How are you?
Peggy has been very pleadful for help, and you have stepped forward.
I have.
So excited. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
I'm a Ferndale resident for 3 years. I also run the Ferndale Time Bank. I took over from Michelle Foster several months ago when she left. I know all of you know Michelle very well. I have a bachelor's degree in health administration and human resources and a master's in public administration. So volunteerism service has been a part of my career for the last 11 years as a director of a nonprofit. So as a resident, I just want to definitely give back, and this is something that Peggy and some of the other members, that was a great way to do so. So here I am.
We get the most qualified volunteers in this town. Just amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Does anyone on council have any questions
Any
or
questions?
comments of Joe? All right, then I would need a motion.
I'd move that we confirm the appointment of Joe Spain to the Beautification Commission for a term ending December 31st, 2014.
I support.
Moved by Martin, supported by Lennon. Any further discussion? Again, just thank you very much for your willingness to do that. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Councilmembers Lennon?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That appointment is confirmed. Moving on to the next agenda item, C, consideration to purchase patrol vehicles. And maybe I'll have the police chief, if you wouldn't mind, come up and just give us a brief overview. No more Crown Vics, and so it's a new day.
That is correct, Your Honor. As much as we would like to keep the Crown Vic as our platform, that is not to be. Ford has discontinued that. They have replaced it with 2 pursuit-rated vehicles. One is the Interceptor, which is built on the Taurus body style, and the other one is the Explorer, the SUV Interceptor, which is built on the Explorer body style. Sergeant Brown, who is in the room is with us today. He was the one that did the staff work on which vehicle to replace it with. I know it seems like fairly insignificant, but to us, when we make this decision, we're going to be stuck with this decision for quite some time. Because once the car is of itself is just the car, but all the equipment that goes in is going to be specific to that car. So much of the equipment that we have now will not fit in any of the new cars, no matter what we would have selected. So Sergeant Brown actually took the bull by the horns and did a very extensive investigation as which would be the best vehicle and/or vehicles for us. He got all of the vehicles here on a evaluation, had as many of our officers as we could drive them, all different size officers, because that would be an issue. And much to my displeasure, he chose the Charger over the Ford. But after he did so, I mean, he had very good reasons to pick the Charger over the Interceptor. So we kind of made a difference that we bought. We would like to buy 3 of the Interceptors and 2 of the SUVs. The price point difference really isn't significant. It's about $2,000 between them. The mileage is really not significant. The Charger that we selected and the SUV have the same city miles per gallon. The combined is only a mile per gallon off from 18 to 19. So we have selected those 2 vehicles as, and going forward, those will be the ones that we will stick with as well. So this was a big decision for us. A lot of time and effort went into it on the sergeant's part. So we're excited about it, so we're presenting that. We knew because of all the new equipment that we'll have to put into this, we did request to transfer in the interim budget $25,000 from the drug forfeiture fund over to the motor pool fund, which is when that passed today, so then we will offset some of the cost of the new vehicles out of the drug forfeiture fund, which is an acceptable, we checked to make sure it was an acceptable expenditure.
Love when the bad guys can help us pay for those sort of things.
Exactly.
Are there questions of the chief? And Sergeant, thank you for your help in doing this. Appreciate it, above and beyond the call. But questions of council?
I've got a couple questions. The Crown Vic sort of stayed the same for a decade, generations, I don't know how long.
About 10 years.
Is there any concern with the, redesign of the Charger and being, changed in such a way that our equipment's not going to be replaceable?
There absolutely is. One of our concerns and one of the things that we wanted to investigate with the 3 vehicles that we looked at, actually there's more than 3, but the 3 companies that we looked at, is that are they going to support that same vehicle in the same manner as the Crown Vic was supported? Ford is all over, and they say absolutely. So does Chrysler, and so does Chevrolet, for that matter. We're hoping that is that. Now the Chrysler is, if we had bought the equipment for the Chrysler, and correct me if I'm wrong, that would have when they started making that into a police car, the equipment bought for that vehicle would still fit in this year's model. How long that will stay the same? They say that will be their platform for the next several years, but we're kind of at all their mercy, and we're hoping that they're true to their word.
And so you're looking for 2 Dodge Chargers with the V8 and then the 2 Interceptor SUVs?
That is correct. I think those are V6s for the Chargers, correct? Sure. Yes. Oh, no. V8s for the Chargers. Great. That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chief, I think last time we purchased some vehicles, there was like an $1,800 difference between Gorno and Schmidt. And we were submitted Gornos, but went with Schmidt for obvious reasons. What was the difference this year between Gorno and Schmidt,
Gorno Ford is the state bid, and if that same price is offered to the local dealership, I think that we can still take that, but this is...
That's like similar to a county bid.
Correct. It had the state bid relieves us of the responsibility of getting competitive bids because it's already been bid by the state.
So we could then go to Schmidt for... Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
I move to approve the purchase of the 3 Dodge Chargers in the amount of $23,893 and 2 Ford Explorers in the amount of $26,615 each, total amount of $124,910.29 from the motor pool account.
Support.
Moved by Piana, supported by Galloway. Any further comments or questions?
Just excellent work by Sergeant Brown, once again.
Hey.
It's not bikes, it's cars.
Very thorough research, thank you.
And Twitter, don't forget
And
Twitter.
And Twitter.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Galloway?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Now we have 4 items that have been added to the regular agenda. Regular agenda item D is the State Fairgrounds property sale. And I asked that this be put on our agenda because this issue has heated up. Some of you know that there was actually a public comment, a speaker at public comment a couple of weeks ago. But the state is in the process of transferring the land to the Michigan Land Bank Authority for redevelopment. And this is obviously a very important piece of property to the city of Ferndale as it abuts us. And we have a keen interest, even though it is not in our community, we have a keen interest in how the development proceeds there. Now, site plans are very preliminary at this point. There's a lot of opportunity for us to weigh in, but this is an important time as this transfer is happening for us to be very clear that we would like input in this process and to be specific about what our input is. And I won't read this letter that I'd like approval to send, but I want to point out a couple of the things that I find key about this, and that is the language that says that any sale of the property take into consideration the recently passed Regional Transit Authority, and more specifically, the ongoing efforts to develop a viable transit-oriented development plan for the entire Woodward corridor. We also believe it needs to take into account our complete streets planning, and that a design charrette be incorporated into the final stage of the sale agreement, ensuring that Detroit, Ferndale, the 8 Mile Boulevard Association, and the Woodward Avenue Action Association, and any other stakeholders have an opportunity for input. A lot of communities are weighing in on this, as did those associations, but because Ferndale, I think, is the other community most directly impacted by this, we simply wanted to go on record as expressing our concerns going forward as the sale progresses. So that was the intent of this letter that we would like to send to the Michigan Land Bank Fast Track Authority on behalf of this council, and I would be open to any questions or comments that council has.
I think this is really good. One thing that I don't see here, but I would want to make sure that we include is concerns about our infrastructure. When DTE was here last summer after many problems, they indicated that property in that area drew off of some of our substations, which the new one's not built yet, and so therefore I'm concerned about the additional tax on the, not financial tax, but taxing of the infrastructure even further when we've had struggles the last couple of years, so I think that should be a consideration as well.
And I'm going to look at Derek because he helped draft this letter, so if we can incorporate that concern, that would be wonderful. I think that everybody would concur with that. Councilwoman Piana?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, our electrical issues or energy issues made it into the governor's special announcement on energy efficiency. So I think the state is aware of our energy problems in the past. So I really thank Derek for putting this forward, and that the city has, which I think is a positive response and a very supportive one. So thank you for pulling this together.
And although it's not specifically stated in here, what we also presumed as part of the transit development plan is that our policing needs are going to be considered in that as well. Any impact on increased police presence or services there on the part of our force will be recognized in that plan as well. So those are all the concerns that we just want. We're not trying to oppose the sale. We just want to make sure that those concerns are all addressed. Any other comments, questions? A motion would be appreciated.
I move that the Ferndale City Council requests the Michigan Land Bank Fast Track Authority to incorporate the concepts identified in the attached letter into the purchase agreement for the sale of the State Fairgrounds property. Also, that the authority ensures that the purchaser of the property demonstrates the financial ability to successfully develop the subject site, and that the purchaser is committed to stakeholder input throughout the development process.
Support.
Moved by Piana, supported by Martin. Any other comments? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Martin?
Yes.
Piana?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. Regular agenda Item E is an alternate to SEMCOG's General Assembly. And maybe Councilwoman Piana, could you just explain a little bit? You are a regular member, so.
Yes, I am the city of Ferndale's liaison to SEMCOG's General Assembly, and then I took it one step further, and I'm an alternate voting member to the SEMCOG Executive Board. But every year, SEMCOG asks us to appoint an alternative member to the General Assembly. So I'm asking the City Council to appoint someone tonight.
Is there a council member that would be willing to assume that position?
Is everybody looking at me?
We were hoping.
Errol Pointe?
Yes, I will do it. I will do it.
Awesome, wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, then I think someone actually needs to nominate Mike.
I would make a motion that Mike Lennon serve as our alternate to SEMCOG Regional Council.
Council of Government.
Council of Governments.
It's moved by Martin. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Piana. Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate
you all so very much. I
your
really
willingness to
appreciate
always
it.
step
Yeah,
up and
yes.
help us out. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Piana?
Yes.
Lennon?
Yes.
Galloway?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes, thank you. That is adopted. Now, moving on to what was formerly consent agenda, item K, approval to redirect a $500 grant received from the Ferndale Community Foundation to All About Animals Rescue. And Councilman Martin, you pulled that item.
Yep, I had this pulled. Part of our goal setting last year was to find a way to help assist address the feral cat population in Ferndale, and the Ferndale Community Foundation stepped up to partner with us on this. And I just wanted to draw attention to the program and the session that was held, and Catherine Garrett is here from All About Animals, who's been patiently waiting to speak. So I wanted her to talk about her organization, what we did in Ferndale, and how the grant money was used.
Thank you. And I am Catherine from All About Animals Rescue, and wanted to take a quick moment just to thank the City of Ferndale, thank the City Council for recognizing the importance of trap, neuter, return as being the most cost-effective and the most humane solution to the feral cat overpopulation in Ferndale. And also wanted to thank you for encouraging your citizens to be part of the solution by being active in TNR and by also publicly endorsing trap, neuter, return. So I want to thank you for that. Our organization helps get cats like this fixed for low cost, which a lot of people aren't familiar with what trap, neuter, return is or what a feral cat truly is, but it is a completely unsocialized cat living out in the wild who is not going to make a good house pet and who will be euthanized if taken to a shelter. So what trap, neuter, return does is it gets them fixed so they're not out there reproducing and continuing to have kittens and increasing that population, making more of a problem. But it actually, over time, once they're all fixed, starts reducing the amount in that area because cats are territorial. If you take them all away, more will come back. So it's very important. The trap, neuter, return really is the humane solution. So what we did is the city invited us to come in and teach anyone from Ferndale that wanted to come, teach them about this process of trap, neuter, return. Our organization loans out the traps, we spay and neuter, we help educate people on how to do it, how to manage the colony. And so we want to thank you for having us come to teach a class about that. We're more than willing to come out and do it as often as you all would let us do it, because we really want to encourage people to take a more active role in TNR.
My understanding was it was a well-attended class. I don't know how many cats if you know even how to track how many came from Ferndale, but I know it was a successful effort.
Well, I know we had 38 people at the class, and we did 2,500 ferals last year. I am not sure how many were from Ferndale.
Right. That's wonderful. Appreciate your help. Happy to support you, and we thank the Community Foundation in particular for also matching that contribution.
Yeah, this was a great program. I attended part of it, and it was I learned a ton, not knowing anything about feral cats other than seeing them around. And you guys did a great job, so I really appreciate you coming out and working with us.
Thank you, and we wanted to give a little certificate of appreciation to you.
Nice. We'll always take that. Dan, why don't you go up and receive that for us? Thank you.
Yeah, and we just wanted to add, if anybody has any questions about the information, All About Animals has a great website. You can find them online, and there's tons of information. Or you can call our department. They were kind enough to leave us with some of the training manuals, which we still have, and can put you in contact with the appropriate people. So it was a good experience, and we certainly appreciate their time.
Excellent. Thank you. So we are, go ahead.
I'd also like to thank Derek Delacourt, who, animal control may perhaps be somewhat outside of his area of expertise, but he stepped up, and he and his team helped put this together and make those connections.
This will be the second time, as mentioned. Our previous intern, Ms. Foster, did an excellent job in putting this all together and deserves the credit for it. So we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. We do actually need a motion now to approve to redirect.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I would move that City Council direct staff to forward the $500 received from the Ferndale Community Foundation to All About Animals Rescue to assist with their continued trap, neuter, and release program.
I support.
Moved by Martin, supported by Piana. Any additional comments? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmembers Piana,
Yes.
Lennon,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That is adopted. Thanks. And finally, Dan Christ, you asked to remove former consent agenda item H, approval to accept a proposal from Garda CL to provide cash vault services to be charged to the auto parking fund.
I did, Your Honor. That proposal is for that vendor who currently provides our the city's cash vault services, to broaden its services to include the new multi-meter parking spaces. There are a couple of issues that need to be resolved with respect to the proposed contractual language. I suggest that Council proceed with accepting the proposal, contingent on an acceptable contract coming back for Council's approval on the February 25th meeting.
Appreciate your looking out for us, as always, Dan. Yes. Yeah, and Mike, you have a question?
Just through the chair, this is just for transportation to and from the bank. It's not for picking up from the machine itself.
No, as proposed, it is to do the actual gathering of the vault, counting and processing to the depository.
And there are checks and balances in place?
Those are some of the issues that need to be addressed in the contract.
Okay. Well, this will free up a DPW.
No, it's the same system, it's just different. We have more cash coming in, so it's,
I see what you mean.
yeah.
Okay.
They just come to the vault. Roger still takes the money out of the machines, but we have instituted in that particular instance different checks and balances due to the higher volume of money.
That was my concern
Yep.
about the checks and balances. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Would it make sense to wait until you come back, Dan, or as opposed to doing this twice, or?
They already really are providing some of those services as it is right now, effectively. And this proposal, in general, is acceptable, but some of the specific contractual language just needs to be sorted out. So it's really up to council if it wishes to hold off, but it is currently undertaking services for the city.
Okay. Then a motion would be in order.
Hold on. We haven't done one all night yet.
Earn your pay.
I would move that we adopt the Garda CL proposal for cash vault services agreement contingent upon the changes being made as suggested by the city attorney.
Support.
Moved by Galloway, supported by Lennon. Any other comments or questions on that item? Madam Clerk.
As you're ahead of me. Councilmembers Galloway,
Yes.
Lennon,
Yes.
Piana,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Coulter.
Yes, thank you. That item is adopted. That concludes our regular agenda item. Next up would be call to council. And Police Chief Collins, anything else for the good of the community?
Don't tweet me.
I'd like to mention a good job that was done by our officers and the Madison Heights officers. We had a armed robbery over the weekend at the stop spot. Got away from us, then several hours later they did the same thing in Madison Heights. Madison Heights PD picked up on it. They got into a chase with the suspects, and we assisted them down into the city of Detroit, where they were apprehended. Both suspects they're being processed in Madison Heights, and they'll be turned over to us when it's our turn. So it was just a great job done by both the Madison Heights Police Department and our officers on the night platoon on Saturday. And also, if you want to hear more, you can always follow us on Twitter. And please try to get off of Councilwoman Piana's Twitter and follow us until we catch up. So she's got it. Thanks.
Thank you. I see the fire chief here tonight. Anything for the good of the community? All right, thanks. Jenny, anything from your neck of the woods? No. Jane Marie, anything from our assistant city manager this evening? All right. Derek, anything from community development?
One quick item, hopefully of good news. We've kept council abreast through emails and through general discussion, but as part of council's goals and objectives for 2013, one of the things we were asked to do was take a look at the Livernois corridor, and part of that was how the road functioned in relationship to traffic, parking, non-motorized vehicles. We did take a look at the road, and with the police department and several other departments in the city take a look at it, and ultimately we ended up submitting a grant to actually implement what has commonly been referred to as a road diet, or a transition of the road from a 4-lane cross-section to a 2-lane cross-section with on-street parking and non-motorized improvements, specifically bike lanes and some other things. We did submit for a grant, TAP grant, which is the new version of the Transportation Enhancement Program. We were successful in getting that. We wanted to let council know that. We will be coming forward shortly with revised versions or more detailed versions of the concept plans everybody's seen at this point, and the language and the specific cost estimations. But we did want to make everybody aware that we were successful in getting that, and that project, although we haven't obligated it and made a final decision on it yet, it certainly appears to be something that the city is interested in, and what we think is going to be a significant improvement for the corridor. So you'll be seeing more of that in the coming days.
Well done. That's going to be a significant improvement and really kickstart the redevelopment of that Livernois corridor there. So really great news. Excited to see that get started.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Joe, anything from your area this evening?
Just two brief updates. We are about halfway through the final draft of the capital improvement program. A draft will be presented to the Planning Commission this week. That will be a status update, but that will be completed within the next 2 weeks. And also, I expect to have a significant website update by the first council meeting in March. The site will be skinned by Artemis. I believe it will be by the 21st, and then staff will be just bogged down in their office drafting content 24/7. So that's my
Dan's already started working on his updated biography, haven't you?
Yeah, sure.
I'll need some nice photo shots of you coming soon as well.
Fabulous.
Appreciate it. Lloyd, had a challenging winter so far, but all is calm, all is bright. All right, good, thank you. City Clerk.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
All right. April, anything else from the city manager?
A couple reminders. A friendly reminder that next February 25th from 5:30 to 7:15 we'll be finishing our goal setting, or hopefully finishing our goal setting. If not, we'll add another date to that. And then another healthy reminder, and this is for staff too, March 25th is a regular scheduled meeting, but we are going to have that as a budget hearing instead. So we're going to try to keep budget item or agenda items to a minimum. So please make sure that's in your calendar from 5:30 to 9:30. And then friendly reminder to all of our residents that on Monday, February 18th, we are closed due to President's Day. And just to let people know that we're doing interviews and architects tomorrow regarding the police and court buildings. So we're moving forward with that project as well. So a lot going on.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Dan, anything else from the attorney?
Nothing else.
No, all right. Councilman Martin.
Just a couple things. Last night, I had the privilege of attending PTA's Founders Day 2013, which was a terrific event. And Mayor Coulter and City Commission Person Ann Perry from Pleasant Ridge spoke, and what a tremendous outpouring of volunteerism. There must have been 100 volunteers that were recognized there, and it's just a tremendous group and community, and just a great event. So I just wanted to thank the PTA for everything they're doing in building community, and it was really evident last night. So that was just terrific. Secondly, I just wanted to thank and commend DPW. Friday was a horrible snow in the morning. You guys had the main roads cleared really early. I was out really early, and it looked really great. So I really appreciate that, and nice work. It was you could definitely tell the difference as you move from in and out of Ferndale there. So that was Terrific. And lastly, she was in the consent agenda, and I wouldn't pull it, but I do want to take a moment. We reappointed Peggy Snow to the Beautification Commission. She's a 30-year volunteer in Ferndale, and I don't know how long she's chaired the Beautification Commission, but we see her here quite often, so I just want to publicly recognize her and thank you for that service, because it's a big job, and she's done a great job with that group. So that's it.
Councilman Lennon.
Yes, just to play off one thing Dan said, Lloyd, your crew was mentioned on the morning of the big snowfall, 97 won the ticket about how good Ferndale roads were, so you got a little pub. Good job. Also, through the chair, I'll direct this to the city manager. I was brought to my attention actually by my daughter, that Rochester, I believe she said Huntington Woods, have some unique recycling programs where they get, you know about this?
We do.
Is there something we could explore?
No, not yet. They're not ready for us yet. They're on a pilot program.
Oh, are they?
But we're watching it very closely.
Please do.
Yeah, no.
She explained it to me. It was pretty.
It's awesome, but
Yeah.
right now it's a pilot and it's pretty hefty. So as soon as that pilot moves forward, then they're ready to take on more. I'll be the first one in line. So.
Okay, great. And secondly, maybe this is Derek's bailiwick. The east-west alley that runs behind Ferndale Glass between Vester and 9 Mile. You know what I'm going to get to? About the 5 bins and the grease pit and the cardboard all over the place. Those restaurants would certainly like a compactor or something similar. I don't know where we put it or what the cost would be, but it's pretty unsightly, and that's a heavily traveled, a lot of foot traffic in that area. I'm sure you've seen it when you walk back from City Hall to Hambos. You've seen that.
It's been a regular topic of conversation with ourselves and DDA.
As long as we're all aware of it.
We agree 100%.
Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Piana, anything from?
Yes. Just wanted to remind folks that we have another monthly meeting for the Dales neighborhood, again hosted by our school neighbors at the Digital Learning Center. I believe it starts at 7, and you can go to the Dales neighborhood page to get more information about the agenda. And I'm really excited that the neighborhood will learn about this new grant opportunity. So it's great to see council set goals, and then we have a project actually transpire almost 11 to 12 months later, because that's how long it takes to kind of put these things into. How many? It was only 6 months. Well, that's some rock starness there, right? Yeah, who's counting? So I really appreciate the effort there and the vision of the city council. I did have a question for Lloyd on it that has to do with our roads. What do residents do if their pavement in front of their driveway is starting to be removed and it is pooling and our water is pooling, but it's the road? So like it's the street, but it's in front of their driveway or front of their, and it's getting potholes. I've seen a lot of these recently, and so what should they do? And I've had a couple residents ask me.
I would suggest that they definitely report it to the DPW. We'll review it and try to determine what the cause is. You know, if anything, especially during winter months, we'll try to patch it so that it doesn't become worse.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Galvin.
Nothing for me.
For me, I'm going to make Lloyd jump up one more time. I already asked you this question on text, and you answered me, and I appreciate it, but I've come to discover a lot of people really don't know the answer to this. I didn't either. If you don't have a driveway and we declare a snow emergency, and you're not supposed to park in the street, what are you supposed to do?
You can come to the DPW and get a sticker that will be displayed during the snow emergency, and you will not be ticketed. And we'll work around your vehicle.
Go to DPW and get a sticker, and then the police are going to have to shovel off the snow to see if you have a sticker right before they give you a ticket. But they will, right, Chief? All right, very good, thank you. And Dan's actually stole one of mine, but I'm going to reiterate it anyway. Peggy, if you're out there listening to us, we really appreciate your willingness to sign up for another term. We love you, and we love all the work that you do on our beautification committee. So thank you, Peggy.
Here, here.
And with that, meeting is adjourned.